Welcome back to the Week in Gaming. This is patreon.com/the Derrick Lamon experience. If you're on the free feeds, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, etc., you are getting the audio version. The video version is exclusive to Patreon on Saturday afternoons, and then the audio version is on Monday mornings, of course. There's a lot of stuff to into, so no preamble or anything like that. We're just gonna go ahead and dive right in because there's so much to talk about, in my opinion. We're gonna start this off with, and it's been a while since we had one of these, but grain of salt, of course. Everything I tell you here in this portion of the show, you want to take it with a grain of salt because it is not actually verified at the moment. It is just it's a rumor, it's a leak or whatever, whoever has certain insider sources. But um boy, it's a bit chilly in here. So anyway, we are told to be expecting a PlayStation showcase next month. I know this has been the trendy thing ever since 2021, where we got that big showcase that showed us Spider-Man 2, showed us the reveal of Wolverine, showed us Gran Turismo 7, showed us God of War Ragnarok, etc., etc. Everybody's like, "Oh, well, there's going to be one in September." We didn't get one in 22. We didn't get one in 23. I don't know about this year. I can't say. I think that PlayStation understands, though, that the fans are tired and they want to see something. Again, I've said this for quite a while now. You can't keep talking about, well, no, we're 5 years into, no, I'm sorry, 4 years into the PlayStation's life, and we're basically halfway through the life cycle, and we don't know what's coming. So, I don't know what they're going to do, but we do need to see something. So anyway, uh, PlayStationLifestyle.net says it's that time of the month where we begin hearing about the next PlayStation showcase slash state of play. And this time, rumor has it there's something planned for September of 2024. Sony thus far only confirmed plans for a physical booth at TGS, aka Tokyo Game Show, which will kick off on September 26th, and I'm very, very excited for that. Gamescom is, I think, in a week or so. I'll have coverage of that as well. Reports of a PlayStation event September 1st began circulating in May, following a state of play that left fans extremely underwhelmed. I know I was. Um, a known leaker who goes as IGNUS the Wise, Ignis the Wise on Twitter, not X, claimed that a showcase is in the works. Quote, tweeting an X user yesterday, Ignis the Wise, who has a decent track record, suggested that known insiders will begin hearing rumblings about the event by the end of August. Detective Seeds tweeted, been asked about a PlayStation showcase on September 12th. That is the info I was provided by two different people at PlayStation Studios. It falls 1 week before God of War Ragnarok on PC, and also before TGS Tokyo Game Show, which they're going to, so it makes sense. Obviously, SIE can change to whatever. Ignis retweeted, I suggest everyone to not trust leaks about the supposedly PlayStation showcase. Some reliable leakers should hear some whispers about the next PS event as soon as the end of the month. So they're all divided. Nobody really knows anything. We're not sure how much stock we can put into regardless of Ignis the Wise's track record, but Sony does have an elephant in the room that has yet to address: the PlayStation 5 Pro. We've known about the hardware's existence for what seems like eons, but Sony remains tight-lipped. If the PS5 Pro is indeed scheduled for release in Q4 of 2024, like insiders claim, it's about time we see the console. I will remind you that the PlayStation 4 Pro, which we heard the rumors, there was a drawing. Somebody was like, who worked at the Foxconn factory, they kind of drew it, and they're like, it'll be kind of stacked, and it'll almost look like an updated PlayStation 2, the launch version, but a bit different, a bit bulkier. And then, the version that they drew was pretty damn close to the final version that we received, the final retail version. Um, we heard the leaks. It was called Project Neo. We heard about Neo mode on games, which would give us either performance mode or increased visuals, and then it came true. When it comes to the PlayStation 4 Pro reveal, that was September because the Slim was leaked as well. Somebody got their hands on a Slim somewhere in Europe, and they started posting pictures online. Um, so they showed them both off at an event in September. The Slim came out the following week, and then the Pro came out in November. Um, yeah, I can't remember exactly when in November, but I do remember the Friday it came out. It came out the same day that this came out. It came out the same day the mini in the NES Mini, aka the NES Classic, came out. So, um, for me, that was a big day. I went out and bought a 4K TV for the PS4 Pro, and I had a bunch of fun with that as well as the NES Classic. So, I think we should be seeing something soon or hearing something soon. For all intents and purposes, as far as we know, the thing does exist. We just have yet to see it. So, I don't know. Keep that right here in the noggin. Uh, Also, in grain of salt, again, please, again, take these rumors with a grain of salt until something is confirmed. People are saying we're going to hear something at TGS. I don't know. This comes from XboxAir.com. Updated rumor: Forza Horizon 5 PlayStation Port announcement is incoming soon. So we know that some games reported. Looks like we're going to get another one. Friend of the site, Jez Corden, has refuted the rumor of Forza Horizon 5 being the game ported to PlayStation and a report on Windows Central. Jez says, quote, my sources indicate that Forza will not be announced for PlayStation next week, although I can't yet confirm what game, if any, will be announced as a port next week. Multiple reputed leakers have reported that Forza Horizon 5 may be getting a port to PlayStation next week during Gamescom. On the infamous forum Reset Era, users Nate Drake and Shinobi have both intimidated the X that sorry, intimated, I'm sorry, that Xbox has a new PS5 port coming soon. Noted leaker EXSTAS1S then dropped the Cinco de Mayo GIF, leading many to speculate the title will be Forza Horizon 5. After the four titles were ported as part of an experiment, one of them took off. Sea of Thieves has been one of the best-selling games on PS4 and PS5 since it launched back in April, making more ports like this inevitable. Um, Forza Horizon 5 was released back in November of 21. We loved it starting at the time. Um, I don't know. Here's the thing. Somebody was like, "Well, why would they port this when Sony has Gran Turismo?" Gran Turismo 7 is on PlayStation 4 as well as PlayStation 5. The difference is Forza Horizon 5 is more of a fun racer, right? And you kind of have to go off and find racing in the game. It's more of just like an open world where like I like doing the barn hunts and stuff like that. Um Whereas Gran Turismo is a true is a driving simulation. Like it's a driving simulator. There's not you're like sure there are races, but it's a lot different. It's truly I remember the first time like everybody hyping it up and I remember the first time playing it I'm like, "Well, this is all right, but I'm not really going to have any fun." Like and I learned to love it, but it's not like something you just strap on with a bunch of friends and, grab some controllers and everybody just goes and goes and goes. It is a driving simulator, so it's a bit different. How would Forza Horizon 5 fare on the PlayStation 5? I don't know. I don't know. Um, would I be surprised? Probably not. And the reason why is that it came out in 2021. We're 3 years removed. They've probably made all the money they can off of PC and Xbox with it, considering the fact that also it is a day and date title because it's an Xbox first party studio game. They may have made all the money they can off of this. Would I be surprised if they ported it to PlayStation 5? No. If this is all just a bunch of bullshit and smoke and mirrors, I would not be surprised by that either. That's why I always say take this with a grain of salt until there's actual confirmation. These are all just rumors and conjecture. So I don't know. Moving right along. Not I guess it's not confirmed, but here we are. There are some leaks and details as far as GTA 6 goes. It has been in development since 2014, which is incredible because that would make it 11 years if the game does in fact release in 2025. Um, I want to say they started development on Red Dead 2 in 2011. I'd have to check that. I don't know. But if it's been in development since 2014, well, think about it. GTA 5 came out in 2013, and then the ports to Xbox One and PlayStation 4 came in 2014. And I want to say the PC version came that year too. I'd have to actually double check on that. But apparently, it's been in development since 2014. It cost $2 billion. Not surprised by that. Rockstar really bends the budget, but they know they're gonna make that back. They're gonna make that back in day one more than likely. It launches in fall of 2025 as of right now. That's what they're telling us. We shall see. The state of Leonida will expand over time. The state of Leonida is basically the state of Florida, only in the GTA universe. So this should be interesting. Two playable protagonists, Jason and Lucia. Um, I'm guessing because I wasn't too big on the switching between the three characters in GTA 5. Maybe with it only being two, it'll alleviate some of the stuff that I did not like in GTA 5, but we shall see. But yeah, we are going to have two playable protagonists, Jason and Lucia. Um, I'm very, very interested about this because if you look very closely on the artwork, Lucia has an ankle monitor on her person. And of course, we know that means house arrest. We had the unit in the house because, somebody in my family, it was not me, somebody in my family was on house arrest a couple of times. So I do know how that goes and like how far you can go with restrictions and stuff like that. But I'm very excited about it. It is coming to PS5 and Xbox Series X and S, of course. This one, I kind of want to see how they're going to pull this off. I would have to understand they'd have to be working in tandem with Microsoft because this is probably going to be a game that is going to push the Series S to its limits and then some. So I want to see how they're going to pull this one off. And then it's supposed to be ported to PC later, which that's what happens with Rockstar titles. Trailer 2 is expected later this year. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to show up at Gamescom or TGS. So if I had to bet, maybe October because that's when the trailer for Red Dead 2 was released. I think it was they changed their Twitter image. They changed their header and they changed their profile pic, and it was a red background with the black R. So everybody freaked out. They're like, "Oh my God, it's Red Dead!" And then their header was some silhouettes, and it's like this has got to be Dutch's gang or whatever's going on. And it turned out that's what it was. And then I think the very next day we got the trailer and we got the first look at the Nintendo Switch. It was a glorious day in gaming, if you guys remember that. So, let's hope I'm thinking I don't think Gamescom or TGS. I'm hoping October. If not, remember trailer 1 was December of last year. It got leaked a day early, so it was supposed to coincide, I believe, with the game. No, the Game Awards were on the 7th. It was supposed to be the 5th or the 6th. I don't remember. So I think they've learned their lesson from last year. I would imagine maybe a Game Awards trailer, maybe. I don't know. Again, until we see anything, take everything with a grain of salt. It is what it is. Now let's get into some other stories. This is coming from our friends over at IGN.com. Warner Brothers Discovery wants to license franchises including Batman and Harry Potter to other studios. AAA Gaming, Game of Thrones win. I don't care. I'm not going to play it. Game of Thrones does nothing for me. Batman, Justice League, Harry Potter, Looney Tunes, Game of Thrones, the list of intellectual properties owned by Warner Brothers Discovery is massive, and an awful lot of it seems to be ripe for being turned into a video game. If you're thinking WB's been a little slow to leverage that library, sounds like the company's leadership agrees, and it's looking to not just make more of its games, but to license out some of its biggest franchises to other game studios in the future. I'm not surprised because they tried to sell off Warner Brothers games previously, and then they tried to sell it off this time again. So I think what happened, Suicide Squad and some other stuff, I think they were disappointed, and they're just looking around like, why should we be doing this? So would you give Rocksteady another chance? I don't know. Would you just license the IP for a term? Possibly. And it seems like that's what they want to do. On an quarter two earning call, CEO David Zasloff and president of Global Streaming and Games, JB Perrette, responded to a question about, quote, the strategic value of games to Warner Brothers, given recent uneven performance. The company just reported gaming revenue down 41% year over year due to underperformance, of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League compared to Hogwarts Legacy's massive success last year. Does Warner Brothers see games as a core part of its portfolio? I would imagine that's a no, in my opinion. Seems like the answer is yes, but I would say no. They don't really care about games. They care about the fact that they have all this valuable IP. I don't think they care if it would be a video game or not. I think they understand that it is extremely valuable to them. And if people want to make a video game about these IP, then why the fuck not? But I don't think they really care about gaming at its core. I just don't. Zasloff and Perret explained that they wanted to grow the gaming business, especially in the free to play space. And this is why everybody's fucking up because they keep trying to make these free to play games with these battle passes that you're going to dump money into. I keep saying this and I'm going to keep saying it till the fucking cows come home. Fortnite is an anomaly. That game should not still be as successful as it is, but it is. But Fortnite is an anomaly. That's not going to happen with every free to play game. It just isn't. And the reason is if a new game comes out and it's not good, they're going to dump it and go right back to Fortnite. Fortnite is all reliable at this point. They know what they're going to get from that. And then the fact that you toss in, hey, we're going to start adding this licensed content to it, everybody's like, well, shit, I'm definitely on board. It's an anomaly. That's not going to happen again. It's been proven. It just is not going to happen again. So everybody keeps chasing that tail, and it's like, all right, keep pouring a bunch of money into development on something that you're not really going to see a return on your investment for. And when it's all said and done, you let me know how that works for you, because this is exactly what is going to happen. Pred says this free to putting games in the free to play space can help balance out some of the ups and downs of the cyclical console industry. That's part of why WB acquired Player First Games, developer of Multiverses, earlier this year. Zaslow followed up by noting that not only did Warner Brothers want to keep leveraging its 11 studios, but that there's also a lot of interest among others in coming to take advantage of some of that IP for gaming, which we're looking at. Warner Brothers Discovery reported revenue of $9.7 billion for the quarter, but an overall net loss of $10 billion, $9.1 billion of which was due to impairment charges. The company also reported subscription services were up 3.6 million subscribers from last quarter, bringing it to a total of 103.3 million. There's a lot of stuff on Warner on Max, right? You could find NBA playoff games there. Obviously, the legacy HBO shows, The Sopranos, The Wire. People were watching for House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones, all that stuff. So obviously, there's a lot of reasons to have Max, right? So I think those numbers are going to stay strong, but it's also odd that they're bundling a lot of these subscription services together and like, hey, instead of paying for all three, you pay this fee and you get all three of them. And it's like, okay, well, this tells me that these aren't really working out the way you guys thought they were. But it is what it is. I don't know. Um, I get, I understand leveraging your IP and licensing it for a term because it's just smarter in the long run, right? Um, it can backfire as far as game preservation goes because you have to renew that term. Um, these games may not be available later because of the licensing term and stuff like that. So it gets really, really tricky. But I get it. I get it. Speaking of companies trying to leverage their IP and do the best by it, well, that brings us back to Sony. PlayStation Lifestyle.net says, quote, PlayStation Studios aiming to continuously release hit titles, says Sony. Well, you have to get back on that wagon because you've been off it because you did nothing this year. I'm sorry. Like, for all the people who love Helldivers 2, that's awesome. It wasn't for me. It just wasn't for me. Um, but what people are used to is those first party tentpole Sony experiences that when you put the controller down and you roll credits and you're like, holy shit, that was a ride. For all the shit that people say about The Last of Us 2, you can't deny that a lot of us put that controller down when we rolled credits the first time and said, no fucking way, we just experienced all of that. Right? So they find themselves in the place where they have to try to duplicate all of that. Sony Group has said that PlayStation Studios are aiming to consistently and continuously release hit games. To achieve this, Sony Interactive Entertainment is making an effort to refine its development processes and release schedules. Having previously acknowledged that PlayStation Studios are struggling with maintaining sustainable profit margins despite releasing best-selling games, Sony announced that it was restructuring the PlayStation division. As part of the process, more than 900 roles were eliminated and a new management structure was implemented under joint CEOs Herman Hulst and Hideki Nishino. Announcing its first quarter financial results for fiscal year 2024 yesterday, and this was a few days ago. Sony told investors in an earnings call that Studio Business Group is strengthening its development schedule management and optimizing development projects in order to consistently and continuously release hit titles. Meanwhile, Sony's platform business group will focus on maintaining and expanding the number of active PlayStation users while strengthening user engagement. The goal is to establish a stable earnings base as a matter of priority. PlayStation did not release any major first party blockbusters this year, but did publish quite a few console exclusives. Three smaller first party games are scheduled for fall of 2024. Concord, not for yours truly. Astrobot, I'm all over that. And Lego Horizon Adventures, possible. We do have the Until Dawn remake coming as well. Um, Here's the thing: they have to figure it out. There are rumors that we're going to get that Spider-Man 2 DLC, but again, until something's confirmed, take everything with a grain of salt. I would love to get Spider-Man 2 DLC. I think it's absolutely necessary to give that game life again. It took a long time to get New Game Plus. The game came out October 20th of last year, and we didn't get New Game Plus till like April or something of this year, if I'm not mistaken. And it was just a trophy for finishing the game on New Game Plus, which is I have nothing, no issues with that. But it's like I would have liked to have seen more, and that's why I think we need a DLC. Like we need a couple DLC packs to come behind this one. Um, I don't know what the hell Guerrilla Games is working on. I would love to see what Sony Santa Monica's new IP is, what this new IP that Naughty Dog is working on. I would love to see what the hell Sucker Punch is working on, Ben's Studio. A lot of these studios we have not heard from in quite some time. I really want you guys to think about that. Insomniac, like, sure, we got the Wolverine teaser trailer at 2021's PlayStation Showcase, and then we got the Insomniac leak, unfortunately. Well, how far along is that game? When are we going to see Wolverine? Like, I really don't want to hear like 2026. You need something next year. Because God of War Ragnarok already out there. Spider-Man 2 already out there. Gran Turismo 7 already out there. Remember, these are 3 games that were shown at that showcase in 2021. Those games are out there, right? You had the console exclusivity to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That's already out there. Helldivers already out there. Concord, I'm sure, is not going to do well. I'm willing to bet dollars to fucking donuts that game does not do well, considering not many people played the beta. They then made it free and people still didn't want to play the beta. That does not look good for that game. I think Astrobot is going to be successful. Um, it's niche though. We have to remember that the reason everybody played Astro, the one that came with the PS5, is because it was baked into your PS5 for free. Now you're asking people to go out and pay, I think it's $70 for this one, which I'm willing to pay because that Astrobot game looks fucking amazing, but I don't know if everybody else is willing to pay for that. That's a big concern. What else do you have in the tub? Marathon, okay. Well, Bungie's a fucking shit show right now. So what about Marathon? Like, what else do they have to show us for the PlayStation 5? I'm really starting to wonder. And like, if they're really gonna have this PlayStation showcase next month, well, what the fuck are they gonna show us? Like, even if they're just cinematic trailers and we don't get a release window, at least tell us, hey, this is coming next year or something. Sony Ben, we have to see it. Naughty Dog, the new IP, we have to see something. Even if it's a half a minute teaser trailer or something like that. We got to see something. Sucker Punch, we got to see something. Ghost of Tsushima came out July of 2020. We're coming up on the fall of 2024. We've got this. Like, what are you guys doing over at these studios? We got to start seeing something. So, if they want to get back on track, yeah, like you have to show us something, and then show us like why the back half of the PlayStation 5's life cycle is going to be better than the first half, right? Because there's only so many third-party games I'm really interested in playing. College football has kept me pretty fucking busy. I'm not gonna lie, but I do need something else. Like the Last of Us PS5 remake. Not mad at it. Really cool. Really cool. Last of Us Part 2 PS5 director's cut. Not mad at it. Pretty cool. But we got to see something else. You guys have got to show us something else. Like, we know we're getting GTA is coming next year. We hope. We hope. They're not really good with making release dates, but then what? Again, that's a third party game, so I don't know. In other news, from our friends over at GameIndustry.biz, Take-Two expects Call of Duty will boost Game Pass numbers for a period of time, but it won't affect its decision because its decisions are rational. Woo! Shots fired. Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick says that putting a game like Call of Duty in the Game Pass will inevitably push consumers towards subscribing, at least for a bit. And I think it will. I think there will be a boom in Game Pass subscribers when we get to November and Call of Duty 6 launches. Everybody's like, you can buy it on PlayStation 5. I'm like, I could, but I actually subscribe to Game Pass, so I get it for free over there. I'm just like, I get it, but I buy games. Understand that. So to get it on another console for free, like I'm gonna take the freebies where I can. But I do buy games, so I'm not part of that crowd that's like, if it ain't coming to Game Pass, I ain't playing it because I buy games. I don't want to, Anyway, Take-Two does support subscription services through its legacy titles, yet it has been skeptical around the idea of putting brand new AAA games into the service on the day they come out. I'm sorry. Zelnick told us in 2022, this is GameIndustry.biz, by the way, that, quote, that doesn't make any sense to us because economically speaking, we don't think consumers are prepared to pay for that, and we can't afford to turn our business upside down in a way that doesn't make sense economically. He's correct. But with Xbox continuing to significantly push Game Pass with the inclusion of Call of Duty Black Ops 6 into the service this October, does Zelnick expect consumer habits to change? Quote, I think that offering a frontline title with a premium price and a subscription service day and date will push consumers to that subscription service for at least a period of time, Zelnick told GameIndustry.biz. However, he added that this move by Microsoft doesn't change how Take-Two views the subscription opportunity. No, it won't affect our decisions, Zelnick says, because our decisions are rational. Zelnick was speaking to GameIndustry.biz after the firm's latest financial results, which showed some modest growth during quarter one, but it's ultimately a quiet year for Take-Two, with some of its core properties like GTA Online and NBA 2K not delivering the growth we've seen in previous years, which have been offset by success in mobile, particularly around Match Factory and Toon Blast. He's right. For a brief period of time, they are going to see a lot of traffic in the Game Pass, but it's brief. This is not going to be sustained growth. And anybody that thinks otherwise is out of their minds. Once people Now for the people who play zombies and online, yeah, they'll continue to re-up. If you get bored after a little while, it's like, okay, I play this, I play this, I play this, I'm done. Then what, right? If it like and remember, it's not in console anymore. And like it's only day and date is only in Game Pass Ultimate now. Which I got to commend them because that probably is the way it should have been from day one. That probably is the way it should have been from day one. At least that way, when they created Ultimate, I think what 2-3 years ago, whatever, they would have saw what they had on their hands, and then they could have pivoted accordingly, right? Now, when they announced this move, it pissed a bunch of people off, but I get it because I said it before they changed things. I was like, well, Microsoft would be nuts if they change it now because they're going to piss people off. And everybody's like, well, they got to make money. Yeah, they do. And I understand that. The fact of the matter is, you cannot give people shit for free and then take it away because it's going to anger them. And that's exactly what it did. So, I don't think Zelnick is wrong here. I think he's right on the fucking money. And we're going to see how it plays out. But when that earnings call takes place next year and those numbers come in fiscally, I expect them to say, yeah, there was a boom in October. Probably the holiday season, we'll say, right? It's cold. You're not really outside doing anything. So you're going to be playing a lot of video games anyway. I think right when we get to the spring, you're going to start to see some of that stuff taper off. Or it could be before then. I don't know. But he's not wrong. And the reason I know he's not wrong is Microsoft has made some very interesting decisions since making those acquisitions of Bethesda ZeniMax and Activision Blizzard King. And I get it. I get it. My favorite saying, you guys know it, we got to get that money back in blood. So you know how it goes, right? Well, I've seen guys like Tim Dog, Smooth, and a couple others basically say, no, Xbox is fucked up for this. We spent all this money, we invested, we kept being told, wait till next year, wait till next year, wait till next year, this, that, and the third. And they're basically abandoning us. And somebody said the other day, they're like, no, the console war is effectively done. This is done. Microsoft is making a third party push. That's because that's when the rumors of Forza Horizon going to PlayStation 5, everybody's like, well, this is it. The console war is done. And apparently, the reason for that is like nobody's buying the Xbox overseas. Like, it's barely being bought here in the US. It's really not being purchased overseas. So they're in a bit they found themselves in a bit of a quandary and a conundrum, if you will, and they got to find a way to keep revenue coming in. So I don't know. It's very, very interesting, and we're gonna keep our eyes on it. But I have to say, I'm not surprised. We knew that there was a possibility something like this could happen. We totally knew that. So anyway, we want to say congratulations and welcome back to the people over at Tango GameWorks. Awesome. They were able to get the studio back up and running and acquire the Hi-Fi Rush IP. If you work for Microsoft or if you're somebody who carried the flag for Team Green, you got to look around like this is absolutely fucking stupid, which means that the Hi-Fi Rush IP, they acquired that, which means we're more than likely going to get more and more than likely going to be on PlayStation and probably Nintendo as well as Xbox. Anyway, Tango Gameworks taken over and revived by PUBG publisher Krafton with plans to expand Hi-Fi Rush. After abruptly closing its doors in May this year to the shock of fans and fellow developers, Japanese studio Tango Gameworks is set to resume its activities under Krafton. The South Korea publisher announced on August 12th that it has taken over Tango Gameworks and welcomed its employees with the cooperation of Microsoft and ZeniMax Media. Krafton also has plans for the Hi-Fi Rush IP, which it has acquired the rights to. Founded by Resident Evil director Shinji Mikami in 2010, Tango Gameworks quickly went on to be acquired by ZeniMax Media, the owner of Bethesda Softworks. From there, the studio developed the Evil Within series, Ghostwire Tokyo, and the universally acclaimed Hi-Fi Rush. In the meantime, the developer became part of Microsoft, which acquired ZeniMax Media in 2021. 2 years later, Shinji Mikami left Tango Gameworks, and in May of 2024, it was suddenly announced that Tango Gameworks would be closing. Xbox executive Matt Booty called the closure, quote, a forward-thinking decision and hinted that it had to do with the studio remaining without a leader. That's bullshit. You could have found somebody to lead that studio. I think that you guys have just had terrible management, and we can all, like, we're all saying it, like, it is mismanagement. It's not that they didn't have the IP, it is mismanagement. It's mismanagement. You call it whatever the fuck you want, but that's what it is. However, fans and developers from around the world were not convinced, criticizing Microsoft harshly for unfairly killing a prospective studio. Now, 2 months after Tango's closure, Krafton has stepped in to take over, and it seems Microsoft has cooperated in the integration process and pledged to support the studio staff in resuming their work at the new company. Krafton already owns several development studios, including PUBG Studios, Bluehole Studio, Unknown Worlds, and Striking Distance Studios, and has produced titles such as PUBG Battlegrounds, New State Mobile, Terra, and the Callisto Protocol, which will be free next week on the Epic Game Store if you have a PC, by the way. Callisto Protocol will be free on Epic Game Store next week. So if you got a PC, why the fuck not? In the announcement, Krafton emphasizes that this is their first major investment in the Japanese game market and an important part of their global strategy. The decision to bring Tango Gameworks on board was apparently driven by Krafton's assessment of the studio's originality and game-making skills. In taking over the business, Krafton also took over the rights to Hi-Fi Rush IP from Microsoft, which it plans to expand through future projects. It's coming to PlayStation and Nintendo. I mean, it's already on PlayStation. It's going to come to the. I would not. I'd be surprised if it didn't come to the new Nintendo hardware. However, these organizational changes are not expected to bring any changes to the existing Hi-Fi Rush, The Evil Within, or Ghostwire Tokyo, which are part of Microsoft's catalog. Huh. So they got the Hi-Fi Rush IP, but they did not get Evil Within, Ghostwire Tokyo. Okay, well, it sucks because Shinji Mikami left the studio. If he was still there, I'd be like, okay, well, he'll figure something else out. If they get the right people in there to steward the studio, this is a great job for somebody. I don't know who, but this is a great job for somebody. With the right leadership in there, this can be turned around, and this can work out. We just have to see how it's going to work out and what they're going to do. But this can work out. I promise you that. I promise you that. But again, round of applause, man. Round of applause because some people's jobs got saved, and that's what's most important here. So shout out to them. And then lastly, the big story here, not exactly too big because we haven't seen anything, but this comes from our good friends over at videogameschronicle.com. Developers have reportedly been told to not expect the Switch 2 to launch before April of 2025. That's according to GameIndustry.biz head Chris Dring, who discussed launch plans for Switch's successor on the publication's latest podcast. Nintendo confirmed in May that it will announce the next console during the current fiscal year, which runs until March 31st of 2025. Um, Quote, no developer I've spoken with expects it to be launching this financial year. Dring said, in fact, they've been told not to expect it in the current financial year. A bunch of people I spoke to hope it's out in April or May. Time still early next year, not too late. Quote, I don't think any of us want a late switch for want a late launch for Switch 2 because we all want a new Nintendo console. Everyone gets very excited for it, and we don't want that crunch of Grand Theft Auto 6 and Switch, all that kind of stuff on top of each other. We really don't. I'm going to tell you a little story. I'm pretty sure I've told it here on the podcast before. Um, Horizon Zero Dawn launched. This is when games still came out on Tuesdays, and music probably too. I don't remember, but Horizon Zero Dawn launched Tuesday, February 28th of 2017. And I remember playing it that night. I was like, "This game is fucking dope. I'm loving it." I played it a few more times that week, and then that Friday, March 3rd of 2017, the Nintendo Switch and The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild launched, and I did not touch for Horizon Zero Dawn probably till 6 months after that, because some other shit came out. Mario Odyssey came out, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe came out, and then some other shit came to PlayStation and Xbox. So I didn't go back to Forbidden West till like 6 or 7 months afterwards. So they're right. You don't want that new Nintendo console coming around the same time that GTA 6 comes, because people are still going to get the console because we love gaming, we love Nintendo, we know what they stand for, and we know the quality of Nintendo. But the usage is what you have to, you start to question, and everybody's going to be on GTA 6. There are people who have not upgraded to a Series X or Series S or a PlayStation 5 because they're like, nah, they're still putting stuff on the other consoles. They're still putting stuff on PlayStation 4. They're still putting it on Xbox One. No need to upgrade, right? Because we're in a cross generational phase, and that should have been over 2 years ago. They should not have still been doing cross gen games after 2022. That should have been the end of it, right? Like, I get the pandemic put us in a spot where they kind of had to, but 2022 should have been the end. When GTA 6 comes out, people will upgrade their console because it's only on PlayStation 5 and Series consoles, right? Also, there's going to be another rooster in the hen house by then. Yes, the PlayStation 5 Pro will be out. How many people do you think are going to buy that console because GTA 6 will run better and look better on that console? Also, keep in mind, Rockstar and PlayStation, very good working relationship. They still do stuff with Xbox too, but they have a very good working relationship with PlayStation. So Sony's more than likely going to have the marketing rights for Grand Theft Auto 6. I'm just telling you now so that you're aware. Having launched in March 2017, Switch in its 8th year on the market in July surpassed the Famicom as the Nintendo console with the longest lifespan before being replaced. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a fucking while. 7 years. Reporting its first quarter earnings this month, Nintendo said that Switch had sold 143.42 million units as of June 30th of 2024. It expects to sell 13.5 million Switch consoles this financial year, having sold 2.1 million in the first quarter. If Nintendo hits its hardware sales target, Switch will be within touching distance of the all-time record for console sales, which is currently held by the Sony PlayStation 2. Also, I want to say, why did Nintendo stop with the SNES Classic? We should have got the Nintendo 64 and the GameCube, just saying. The Wii is harder to replicate because of the Joy-Cons and that. And then I know why Sony stopped, because the PlayStation Classic was not successful. I think that had it been more successful, people have to remember, PlayStation Studios that we know today was not that in the first PlayStation generation. Understand that. Had they gone to the PlayStation 2, I think they would have killed with that one. I think they would have killed with that one. And maybe even been able to go with PlayStation 3, but they're still apparently working on a way to get PlayStation 3 titles natively on the PlayStation 5. So we'll see. Anyway, that's going to do it for yours truly today. I'm going to end this like I end everything else. Of course, believe in yourself first and foremost, because if you don't believe in yourself, Nobody else will believe in you. As always, my name is Derrick Lamon Jackson. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my time. Y'all have a good one. Peace out.